everyone, Dark Ramos here with the Volume Profile Nerd, here to do my trade review for June 2nd, 2023. I am doing it one day later here, but yeah, I'll just jump right into it. So yesterday it was a green day, but there are quite a few things that I feel I could have improved on or that I can improve upon, and I'll quickly mention those in today's review. So first, I'll go over the ruling reason, and then I'll go over the things I felt I could have improved upon. So the main thing is that, and I kind of felt this, I was kind of falling in love with NQ, and I was telling myself, like, you can play ES as well, which is the SPY futures contract. And I kind of, yesterday I had that thought, I'm like, don't fall in love with NQ, like, diverse yourself a bit, because NQ might not have the best, might not be the best indice to trade that day. Like, there are factors that could play into ES being the better indice to trade that day, and that's pretty much what I saw happen. So basically, I'll go over kind of the ruling reason I had on NQ. So for NQ, let's see. The ruling reason for me was this value area high of 421.22, and we did have this 5-minute range here from yesterday that I was keeping an eye on, and we didn't quite get to it, which could have had me looking for the long a bit more, but I felt like maybe we get to this POC, but I knew that this 5-minute range would kind of hinder sellers from getting there if they were going to have a problem. I think it would be here, and it's pretty much exactly where they had a problem. But yeah, then after that, I didn't know if buyers were going to get here to this value area high, and once they did, I was a little bit too aggressive looking for buyers to get here to this value area low of this 211, 217 range. And so I was just a little bit too aggressive here, and all we did was oscillate around the value area high. And yeah, that's notable, right? Like, that's a scenario where I think a lot of sellers can get caught up, because maybe sellers are looking for this, or maybe back to this or to this, and we're just sideways. Now, there are a few things that could have tipped me off to not play NQ, and those were, I was watching SMH, and SMH was just crawling, right? Like, so we had a big pullback on SMH here, and SMH had me a little bit bearish because, again, we couldn't get back into this daily range here, which we rejected from almost 3 times now. Yeah, so 1, 2, and we couldn't find acceptance in pre-market and rejected or got below it in regular trading hours yesterday. So to me, that was a bear signal. Like, I was like, okay, SMH can't get back into this range, and we had a big flush, and I don't think I played short initially, and I'll go over that in a second. The other thing, QQQ was, let's see, I thought I had QQQ at a POC, not quite, but yeah, QQQ pulled back to this value area low here and held it of this daily range, which was the previous day close, and then bounced. So I don't think I had a good read on this, actually, because I could have sworn QQQ was oscillating around a POC, but I had that wrong. Yeah, so that's notable for me. I felt like I was watching an indice or something that was oscillating around the POC. But okay, so yeah. I think it was Apple. Yeah, maybe Apple. So Apple was another kind of reason I did look short, because yeah, Apple pulled back and kind of stayed like within this daily range. We found a bit of acceptance above, got back into it and bounced above. And Amazon rejected from this daily value area low, and we headed lower. But overall, like, it was a lot of sideways. Even on Apple, a lot of sideways. NVDA, kind of bearish, but yeah, that's what I was looking at for tech, and I was trying to gauge what place to take based on what I was seeing in tech. And honestly, it was just, there wasn't a lot of clarity. Like, it was sideways, not a lot of clarity. And at the same time, XLF and XLV are hitting new highs like all day. And so I didn't make that connection or that pivot to switch to ES for the long. So yeah, so I think I went over everything I was looking at there for tech. Yeah, SMH was mostly SMH, but SMH, once it pulled back, it went sideways as well. So a lot of tech went, I felt like, sideways. And so yeah, like when we got here, it was just, we went sideways a bit. And yeah, that's the other thing. SMH was around this hourly pivot, and we couldn't find much acceptance above and a little bit of acceptance below. But anyway, I digress because I know I was talking about ES. But with that said, yeah, XLF and XLV were just heading higher. So at the end of the day, I looked at ES because I was just so focused on NQ, and I was like, come on. Like, it was just so, I'm not going to say easy, but it was very clear here with the levels. We pulled back to this POC, bounced above, couldn't find acceptance back under this value area low, bounced, and then held the value area high of this range at 825.22, held it almost to the tick, if not to the tick here. So the low was 4261, and I bet you it's going to be 426.125 here for this range. So we bounced from there to this POC right here at 821.822, and at the end of the day, I swear I was going to make this play here. Enter here playing off this high, and I was watching it, but I was already green on the day, so I didn't want to risk being red, and so I didn't take it. But this would have been, had I entered here, let's say 296.50, yeah, my stop would have been at 298.50 here, and I would have covered it here, so I would have gotten like 5 points on MES, which is a decent trade, right? So was watching that, didn't take it near the end of the day, but yeah, had I entered, there's many places I could have entered here to get to this POC or this value area low, which is 60 to 90. It's about 30 points on ES, which is a really good day. So yeah, just gonna be more aware of that. I think that's part of my game that's going to make me a bit more well-rounded, is being able to pivot from NQ to ES. And I did do that a bit before, but I kind of lost sight. Like, I was too focused on NQ for the most part. And yeah, XLF and XLV, it was rotation, kind of clear rotation in a way. Like XLF and XLV heading higher, while tech went mostly sideways today, or yesterday. So yeah, that's the biggest takeaway for me, is learning when to pivot to ES and being open-minded to do so. So with that said, I'll go over the trades I took. On the hourlies, this is what had me a little bit not very clear as well. Yeah, this is why I felt like I could have played ES way more. Like NQ, we got up to here. We couldn't quite get to this value area low of this hourly range of 318, 322. And we pulled back into this range. And after we did that, I was convinced, or I was looking for the sell to get to this POC at 14.43975, this 419.421.22 POC right down here. And let me just double check that to make sure there's no other ranges in between. No, I felt that was reasonable. I guess we did stall maybe, maybe here. Yeah, we kind of stalled at this little sideways, which isn't much, but that's where we did stall. And yeah, so maybe I could draw that up there. All right. Yeah, and I think, yeah, that wouldn't have been a bad range. Yeah, it made this high here. The value area low made this high. POC kind of made this low, and so the value area high, we kind of held it here. Yeah, so kind of notable, just something for me to pay attention to. And even actually, better yet, like this is kind of sideways here. Yeah, we couldn't get below this little sideways, which I'm sure is a bit more detailed on, well, actually, it's this 5-minute range. Yeah, for sure. That's all I got to do there. Cool. So yeah, that's what I was looking at for NQ, and yeah, so we I thought we would get to this POC, but again, I should have watched that 5-minute range a bit more clear. But I did have a short here that I was holding to try to get here. But after we got back above this hourly range, we just went sideways between these two hourly ranges here. Okay, so with that said, I'll jump into the trades that I took, and let's jump into it after 13 minutes in. So let's go ahead back into here. And so the first thing on the morning, and I do have my 1-minute ranges from the previous day. So we head up first things in kind of a straight shot. So we go sideways and up, sideways. And I'm still trying to get better at playing off developing value. Sometimes it happens so fast that I don't enter, but just sideways and up, a little bit of sideways and up, sideways and up. And then here we go quite a bit sideways. And I looked for the short here. Excuse me. I looked for the short here. And the reason I looked for the short is because we were approaching this developing value area low of this 318, 322 range. And so I thought, if we're going to pull back from there, I'm going to play off developing value. So I think I had the range drawn up something like this maybe at the time. And I looked to play off the value area high of it. And maybe it was something like this. Yeah. Essentially, I think I was trying to play off developing value area high, or I had this little range drawn up here, and I looked to play off the value area low. I think it was more like this, yeah, this little range. And so I entered short here and got stopped out here. Then we headed higher, and at this point I'm thinking maybe it's going to be a bull trend day. And so I entered long here, got risk-free here, and then got stopped out here. So this was at 843, SMH at 843. Yeah, still pulling back pretty hard. And Apple, NVDA 843. Yeah, still pulling back. Apple 843. Yeah, still pulling back. And Amazon still pulling back. Amazon actually at 843 is just above this daily range, and we couldn't find acceptance back into it. So yeah, don't know if the long was that great here, but did get risk free. So, but after that, we did have a really decent pullback, which I could have been more aware of, or maybe try to grab this little dinky 5-second lower high off here. Had I entered here, my stop would have been kind of here. But yeah, and I don't know if this is enough pullback to enter. It's so quick that I wouldn't want sellers to get more convincingly under here to then do this. But it was very quick. So let me see here. Yeah, no, it was a very quick 5-second lower high. So after this, we get that pullback, and I did make a little bit of a mistake here. It was a good thesis, and it was playing off the open. So once we got, we pulled back, below the overnight high, couldn't tag the overnight high, then oscillated a bit around the open, got under the open, and then I looked for a play at the open. And so I just entered too early. My sell limit was at 14,540, and it got stopped out at 14,545. Had I entered exactly at the open, I wouldn't have gotten stopped out. So the open was at 14,543, and my stop would have been at 14,533.25, so right up here, and wouldn't have gotten stopped out, and that would have been a good trade. So then we pulled back from the open pretty convincingly, so that was kind of like a little bit of a bummer. So 543, yeah, that's over 60 points to get to the overnight low. So yeah, just had to kind of watch that too. And then after this, I'm thinking, one second. Yeah, so after we get below the open, I'm thinking sellers want this POC, and kind of losing sight of this 5-second range here on the daily. I'm just thinking sellers want this POC here at 14,439.75, but we did hold this 5-minute range here. So now I'm looking a bit more aggressively for the sell, and just watching. Excuse me. And I think maybe I was aware of that 5-minute range. We did, hold this value area low here of this range from Thursday, almost to the tick. We bounced from there, went sideways, pulled back. And then once we pulled back here, I looked for the sell off this value area low. And I felt this was enough pullback to look for the sell here to try to get to this range down here. So this was, probably my best trade yesterday. So we pulled back and I looked for the sell here, and my sell limit was at 13,515, entered here, got risk-free here, and then I was looking for that hourly target at 14,439.75, so it would have been like 14,442, something like that. And I told myself, and I do like how I played this, because I was like, yeah, let the trade maybe play out. So we got to the value area low here. And after that, I moved my stop a little bit above this value area high, because I thought if buyers get above this, then we could maybe get back to this range. So I moved my stop at 14,500 psychological. In hindsight, I could have maybe moved it a little bit lower to get a few more points, because if we get above this, then sellers aren't as strong as I thought. And we back tested and held this POC, and then got a nice move higher. So this was, my best trade. It was on the minis. So I do like that trade there. In hindsight, like, I could have chopped it here after we held it, and back tested here and then held it again, and it would have been like another almost 10 points, which is quite a lot on the minis. So just something for me to be aware of. After that, I look for the same play. This is where I get a little bit kind of caught up, because we bounced, couldn't get acceptance above this little range, bounced below it, and again I looked for the sell here. And this is very clearly like an improvement, because I entered short here, got risk free, and then got stopped out here. And then I looked for the sell way too aggressively again, when sellers should have gotten here, and we bounced all the way back up to the POC here, and then we just oscillate around the value area low. So I looked for the sell here again, got stopped here, looked for the sell here again, got stopped out here, and I was hoping sellers would get back to here. When we clearly held this value area low here, this value area low here, and this time sellers couldn't even get to it here. So I think the long is a bit more prudent. So reading the story is, I think, probably one of the biggest pieces that can help me as a trader. Like, held the low, held the POC, got back above, couldn't get to this value. Like this was a decent trade. I did get risk free. We couldn't get back here. We got back to the POC, and now we're oscillating around the value area low. So I could be a bit more patient looking for the sell again. I would want to see something like this to then do this. And at this point, if we do this, then I'm thinking sellers definitely want this more aggressively. So yeah, I did take 2 losses here on the micros, so that could have been, I think, avoided a bit. So this next play, I don't typically take these type of plays, and it's something that I might add to my playbook. That idea of playbook, I don't subscribe to that idea 100%. Well, not yet anyways, but like I do have kind of playbook trades, but I think the market is so dynamic. I want to be a contextual trader and a dynamic trader. And yeah, there are plays that I look for, like break above ranges, break below. Like that's probably my playbook. But there is another trade that I feel can be a bit more high probability, and that's when we run up into a daily level without much consolidation. So I'm looking on the daily. I'm looking at this this daily value area high at 14.57875, and yeah, it is an inflection point, but there were like, yeah, we just got like a, let me see here. Yeah, it was a 1 minute stair step to that level, and I felt like maybe some consolidation would be likely. And it was also, if I draw it out here, the value area low of this little morning balance, right? So there's a few things I could have done better here. First, maybe enter at a more psychological number, like 14.580. I entered at 14.578 because I felt like that's where sellers could step in. It was the value area low of that range, and I got stopped out pretty much at the high. The high was, yeah, I got stopped out right at the high. So had I entered in maybe one or 2 points later, I wouldn't have gotten stopped out. So yeah, entered here, got stopped out here. You know, I could have, the other thing I could have done, if it's like a stair step, no, I was going to say I could wait till a candle closes below the range. Yeah. Or maybe wait for the 5-second lower high even. Like, you know, once we get this upper wick here on the 5-second, enter here, and then look for the trade to the overnight high. And yeah, so I entered here, got stopped here. This was on the minis, but then I really liked the trade idea, so I re-entered right here. And it was a worse fill actually. I entered, yeah, we got the 5-second lower high. I re-entered here at 14.57625. Got risk free. I didn't really get risk free here, and I'm trying to think like what happened with this trade where it didn't get me risk free right away. But it, you know, I looked at my my review, my trades that I took, and it says I entered here and just cut it here. So I'm not sure if I didn't have my bracket correctly, but it was a nice trade. It was on 2 contracts. It was 16 points, which 16.5 points, which was a really nice trade. And this had me nicely green on the day. It had me green about 150 NQ points. And so I didn't really need to trade after this. But I did, and I ended up giving back about half of that later in the day. But I still ended up green, so, you know, that's okay. So after this, and this is where I think, like, if I'm scalping with minis, like, it would have been amazing. Because I had 4 break-even trades, and I had 2 losses, or 3 full losses after this. Actually, yeah, that's not that great if I kind of look at it. But so essentially after this, I'm thinking, yeah, here I'm thinking buyers want this value area low of this hourly range at 318.22, 322.22. And I'm thinking buyers want the value area low of this daily range of 211, 217.22 at roughly 14, 6, 15.50. So I think buyers want this now. And yeah, just I got a little bit caught up thinking that's what we were going to do. We were going to get to these next. I was mostly looking at this hourly here, thinking that's what buyers wanted. Like we could go sideways and then, head up there. And that's what I was looking for. Like I felt like we were consolidating here in time, and buyers wanted this value area low of this 318, 322 hourly range at 14,633. And if anything, I was going to chop a little bit before this daily value area low here, which kind of made this high up here. So yeah, that's kind of what my game plan was. And NQ just went sideways. SMH was going sideways. Apple at this point I think is going fairly sideways. And yeah, Amazon had a big pullback, big bounce. So the more likely scenario is an EQ, and could have been a bit more aware of that. But I had these ranges drawn up from the morning, and I think I was watching these and these. I don't know if I had them drawn up, or maybe I did. No, I think I just drew them up in this review. But I entered long here. I think I was watching that little range. Entered long here and got stopped out here. And then I saw we pulled back. We couldn't quite get below this little range here. And so I went long after we got a bear break with no follow through below this little range. I entered long here, got risk free here, and then got stopped out here. Then I entered once we got above this range again. I looked for the long off the value area high here. So I entered here, and I'm marketing in, I think, at this point, which is always not a good recipe. And I got risk free here and got stopped out here. So on the minis, that's almost 10 points, which is a pretty good trade. But if I'm scalping, which I haven't decided if that's kind of, no, I don't think so. I think it takes up too much bandwidth. And if I'm looking at the hourlies and dailies, I just want to position myself to get there, right? And that can make up, for 10 scalps if I get a really nice trade. So I'm just looking to position myself for the larger time frame, either hourly or daily levels. And I'll get it. I'm confident I'll get it for sure. There's been many instances where I've come close, and I think I did get one good trade in kind of recent memory a couple weeks ago. But yeah, I'm confident I'll get it where I position myself to get to a larger time frame target, whether it's the hourly or the daily. And it's just a matter of, picking that spot and looking to get there. So yeah, now we have this range here. So I drew this up. Then I saw we got above the value area high. So I entered along here. Entered along here, got risk free here, sold another contract here. Because I'm recognizing if I sell another contract, I might be a little bit profitable, maybe pay for commissions. So I sold another contract here and got stopped out here. So this was kind of a small win. And then again, I looked to go long off the value area high of this range here. And I'm just eyeballing it, right? I'm seeing we're getting there. So I enter long here, I get risk free here, and I get stopped out here. And then I look to go long off the value area low. So it was the value area lows here. And so I look to go long off of it right here, and I just got stopped out here. And then I did take one more trade after this. I look to go short off of, I look to go short, I think, off the value area low of this range or off developing value maybe of all of this. Yeah, I think it was something like that, like going short off developing value and entered here and got stopped out here. So after that, yeah, that was the end of my trading. Like I just said, take your green day. It is a Friday. Most Fridays I've done something silly and ended, either, yeah, maybe red. So I recognize, okay, you're green on the day, and yeah, just take it, right? Like it wasn't as green as, had I just stopped trading here. Like this got me a bit red. And I was actually thinking about minis, well, scalping with minis and just taking the full trades. But, if they're scalps, like if I kind of recognize we're in a sideways range, like scalping, I think is way more ideal. Like just grabbing a few points here to here, I could have done here to here, here to here, here to here, here to here. Had I had these ranges drawn up during the session, because I think I drew them up during this trade review. So definitely could have, yeah, scalps could work here, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm a huge fan yet of scalping, and even though this does look like a lot of activity here, but I was looking to some larger targets to hopefully get to, and that's why I didn't, chop or take the profit at specific locations, at kind of more closer locations, because I was looking for, on the longs, I was looking for this. And then I'm not sure why I went for the sell. Like, honestly, I'm not really, the sell isn't as, all my break-even trades were longs. I had 2 losses going long here, and I had 1 loss going short here. I'm not sure why I went short here. I even recognized it at the end of the day. I was like, why did I go short there? Like, there's nothing telling me that I want to go short really for a larger target. Here. Yeah, I'm not sure why I went short here. Oh yeah, I see. We had this sideways range here on the 1 minute. Yeah, and I looked to play off the value area. Yep, the value area low of it. So sometimes I do watch this hourly and drop 1 minute ranges and try to use that as confluence. So yeah, that was pretty much the reason for the short. Yeah, in the longs, I was looking to play off this range here, like trying to get to here. So that's what I was positioning myself for here. We just had, sideways action, bear break. Then I looked for the short here, and got stopped out because we did head higher, then oscillated around, bear break. So not very clear. NQ was not clear at all here. And given we're in between this, like I don't mind that I positioned myself for the long because I thought it was an okay thesis, but at the end of the day, I looked at ES and I was like, whoa, like that was so much easier than NQ. And given XLF and XLV were heading higher, like that's where like I could have pivoted, right? Because yeah, like I felt like the thesis was okay, right? Like we sideways range, maybe we go sideways and up. But given context of SMH oscillating around its hourly pivot and Apple with a big pullback, the more likely scenario is an EQ. And same with Amazon, big pullback, big bounce, big pullback, more likely scenario is an EQ. So very low conviction for NQ to get to any targets really. So just something for me to be mindful of. And then looking at ES, it was just so clear. Like it was pullback, yeah, pullback, bounce, couldn't get acceptance, bounce, hold, a lot of space, a lot of air here to get to here, with XLF and XLV being strong, and NQ just mostly sideways. Like NQ was even dumping. Like it was relatively weaker for sure, but it wasn't dumping. It was going sideways. So jump into ES and look to get to that larger target. And the trade that would have set up for this here, let me see. This is at 932. So, oh yeah, so I looked at where that play would set up for me, and I think it would have been here. So we had this little bit of sideways, get below it, crack above it, get below it, uh, get to the value area high, hold the value area low, and once we get above the POC right here. So if I draw it up, something like this, it's not perfect, but something like this. And once I saw buyers hold the POC, I could have entered long here, and then that would have been a very, very nice trade. You know, go sideways, I'll set my stop here, and then we get to that target of 14,290, like right over here. So yeah, just that's my biggest takeaway, and I will take that with me. Learning when to pivot to different indices when there's possible rotation, and tech might not be the most favorable indice to play, right? XLF and XLV are just, cranking up, which is rotation, and NQ is sideways. So if you're looking for the long, jump into ES for sure. Yeah, and I wasn't looking for the short necessarily on NQ because we did get above some hourly ranges and we were above a daily range, but where I could have had more conviction for more upside continuation is ES, and that was made kind of apparent by XLF and XLV. So yeah, that was my trading day. Definitely some good learnings today, which I'll take with me. So just a quick recap of sectors. So SPY just looking really good. Hitting hitting the highest level since August 16th. Like this August range here from last year. And yeah, we'll see what that looks like if buyers can continue to find acceptance above. We do have the value area high of that little range there. QQQ, looking good. I think buyers want this POC up here. Daily higher low. Daily higher low is convincingly set. XLF, nice bounce. IWM, very nice bounce. Wow. XLE. And that's the other thing. I haven't been watching IWM. I need to put that sector on my screen as well. Maybe I can do a 10 quadrant. That might be too small. But XLE, nice bounce. XBI, decent bounce. XLV, very nice bounce. Sellers will be scouting that lower high though, because this was just a rinky-dink one, I think. So we do have this value area high here that I did call that out too in the morning prep. I think buyers want this up here, and so buyers are making a good attempt for it. XLU, nice green day. Buyers are holding this low here. We're back into this range, so I wouldn't be surprised if we try for this POC up here. And SMH, getting a little bit of rest, holding this daily value area low. If we can't find acceptance back above, I'm looking at this value area high from this range here at 140.59. So it could be maybe a quick little daily lower high. The low of June 1st will be key, and if we break that, I'm thinking sellers want this down here. So that's sectors. Looking now, like a lot of sectors were doing really well, which is again could have been in ES for the long. Apple, still looking good. I mean, we didn't quite get to the all-time high yet, but close, very close. Kind of ended pretty flat, I would say. Open and closed pretty much closed pretty much exactly where we opened. But yeah, still looking good. Pretty good for Apple. Amazon, a little bit of an upper wick. Could be a bit rising wedgy, bull breaks lacking follow through. So just keeping an eye on that for Amazon. Netflix, inside day. Netflix is definitely fine with that. Netflix still looks pretty good. It's kind of a daily stair step. We do have a little gap down here. Maybe sellers fill that, but they would need to get below this daily value area low here at around 396. Around 396 to get to this value area high around 383.40, 41 here to kind of fill this. Google kind of sideways up here, bit of an upper wick. We'll see if some consolidation, but Google's just sideways and up, which buyers will definitely take. We do have some daily ranges above here that buyers want to get through. If above this daily range, I'm thinking buyers want this POC. And right now we're kind of in between. We have a little bit of a gap, but looking at developing value here for Google, and we're above the POC, so buyers, I say, are still pretty good. If we hold developing POC and maybe head higher, I think that's what Google wants to see. Otherwise, some more sideways, and maybe we do break a little bit below back into this range here. Microsoft, nice move, or just maybe smaller range today. I mean, Microsoft has just been going pretty high, so we're at this daily value area high. Buyers want acceptance above this POC. If no acceptance above this POC, looking back at this daily value area low here at roughly 322.38. So this POC will be key for me for Microsoft to see if we can find acceptance above maybe this entire range. And if we don't find acceptance above this POC, I'm going to keep my eyes on this daily value area low at 322.28. Meta, small range, but I think buyers want this daily value area low here at roughly 279.14. So we'll be keeping my eye on that. It'll be notable to me if we don't get there. Then sellers will be looking back at this daily value area high at 265.72. Tesla, just really nice kind of grind up. I think buyers want this POC here at 223.84. If acceptance back below this daily range, eyes on this this daily value area high at 206.56. All right. So I was mentioning thinking that Tesla wanted this level. We got above it, or actually we gapped above it, and headed higher from there. NVDA, getting a bit of rest as well after that big earnings gap up, and just going sideways up here. I mean, buyers will definitely take that. Buyers want as much sideways up here as possible to convincingly hold this earnings gap. And we did hold that 15-minute range I had. We held it very nice, and we did pull back, but could be a EQ here for NVDA. High, low, lower, high, and if we hold this again, could be the higher low on NVIDIA. Okay, so that's what I got for my trade review and market recap. That's all I got for today. And biggest takeaway for me is knowing when to pivot from NQ to ES, not falling in love with just one indice, and being open-minded and mostly flexible to kind of make that pivot and use the sectors in tech to kind of gauge which sector I'd rather be in, either for the long or the sell, which can be a benefit or can help me in my trading if I'm flexible and know when to pivot there between indices. That was my trade review for today, and market kind of recap. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you in the next morning prep and trade review. Thank you.